Good morning. This is the Blaze World webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You get more information about this show and previous shows at our website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Patricia Sands. And Patricia, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. Okay, that is Patricia. And you're going to find out something that Patricia's involved in, and that's she's going to be directing a play that's coming up at Hendersonville Theater. I guess it's what, next weekend it opens?
Yes,
Okay.
April 12th and 13th.
Okay, the play, and we'll talk about it in just a second, is called Doubt. But for the benefit of folks who don't know you, Patricia, and haven't met you before, if I could just talk a little bit about your background. And what I typically ask when I meet somebody on the air like this is in terms of how you got into both directing, and you also do musical directing as well. And as a child, you grew up where?
In Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, and when you were a girl growing up in Des Moines, Iowa, did you always know you wanted to be this director, musical director of plays and stuff like that?
I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And then the music part was pretty much established in high school.
So
So,
how did it get established in high school? How did that?
because of my participation as a singer in a lot of various productions and things.
Okay. Now, going back even before then, do you remember the very first production you were ever in?
I think it was Peter Pan.
Okay, and how old were you then? Do you remember?
Oh, I was pretty old. Um, I think that was like eighth grade.
I mean, that is really old, Patricia.
I know.
Can you imagine? Well, I have this great idea, and you can feel free to mention to Victoria at Hendersonville. But what I'd love to do, Patricia, is as a fundraiser, everybody would do their first production. Like, so you would, in other words, make a comeback. You could, what was the role in Peter Pan? Do you remember?
Wolf.
Wolf. So
Yes.
I don't know if you remember it, but wouldn't that be a fun thing to do?
Yes.
Because again, I could be wrong, but I assume we don't have a record of that production, or was a videotape of that production anywhere?
No. No.
Yeah. But wouldn't that be a lot of fun that everybody recreates, just it could be a 5-minute thing, but you could share it then with the rest of the world. This was your very first production. So you were Wolf and Peter Pan, that's pretty exciting. And did that get the bug? Yeah, that got the acting bug?
So much. So I was more of a singer. So that was what I did in college.
As
Yeah. So I'm a voice major. So I became a music teacher. And then the theater came after that.
So what's kind of interesting with your background, so I got the theater came after it, but when did you start getting into directing?
Early on, because once you start teaching, you're putting on little musicals for kids and things like that, and then it just evolves into that. So early on in my career as a teacher, then I started directing.
And so where did you teach? Was that in?
So I started in the United States in Missouri, and then my husband and I, our careers are overseas. So we taught in Honduras and then South Africa, Malaysia, Taiwan, Serbia, Qatar, and Singapore.
So I assume you speak some of those languages as well? Are you good at languages?
A little bit of Spanish, but no, it's all instruction in English. So.
So now, so you were then primarily directing. Were you also at time either overseas or when you came back to this country, were you acting as well? Doing any acting?
No, I was doing singing and I was in some operas in Singapore. So I was on stage. That's the kind of performing that I was doing.
Now, overseas and even in this country, do you do musicals as well?
Um, Not so much because I was always teaching. So I was just directing tons and tons of shows for high school students,
So,
not performing so much.
and it's funny because it ties into what we'll be talking about today, the show you're doing at Hendersonville. So I got the musical part of it. Do you also have background directing non-musicals?
Of course.
Okay.
Yep.
And
For
yeah,
like 33 years.
okay. Wow. So you started when you were 7 years old? You were like
Yes.
you were the youngest person ever to direct a wow,
Oh, thank
seven,
you.
7 years old. So let me ask you this question. I always wonder, do you have a preference as directing drama or musicals?
I have to say drama.
Really?
Yeah, because I've done, when you do so much music, I like to do music direction for musicals, but there's so many things to worry about. Whereas with like the show we're doing now, you can just really focus in on the message of the play, and you don't have to worry about all that singing stuff. It's
And
very, very
and
satisfying.
and dancing also, usually
Correct.
they have to dance. So that's interesting. I never heard anybody say it like that. Well,
Yeah.
Patricia, I sometimes ask people too who have been actors beforehand, do they prefer acting or directing? And it's amazing to me, maybe not amazing, but most people say they prefer directing. And the truth is, they're not telling the truth to me because they don't have to memorize the lines that way, So
Mhm.
but you raise a good point. I really when you think about it, people in musicals a lot of credit because they are memorizing stuff, but then they have to sing, they have to dance, a lot of different stuff, convoluted
Yeah.
process. So fast forward then, as you said, since you mentioned already, so Hendersonville now, you're going to be directing a play, and we'll talk about the play. It's Doubt. And for the benefit of the folks who don't know what the play is about, Patricia, if I can put you on the spot, could you give kind of Reader's Digest summary of what it's all about?
Okay. So it's called Doubt, a Parable. It's by John Patrick Shanley. It was written, it was set in 1964 in the Bronx, and it's set at a school called St. Nicholas School and Church. And basically, there are four characters in this play, and the head principal of the school, which is Sister Aloysius, accuses the priest, which is Father Flynn, of harming a young boy student. That's the short version.
And still, as even describing it, it's still kind of very contemporary as well, even though it's
Yeah.
1964. I mean, you still
Yes.
see that stuff happening as well. Let
Yeah.
me ask you this in terms of the play itself. So it was a show, I know, right? And it was also a movie. Um,
Correct.
yeah. In terms, I recall seeing the movie. I don't think I ever saw the show before. Um, in terms of the people you have performing in it, do you recommend that they see? I always wonder about this. That they see the movie before that they act in it or after? How do you feel about that?
Some, that's very interesting that you ask. Because at our first read through, we had a really good discussion about who we think actually did he do it or did he not do it? And we decided that we are going to hold our opinions to ourselves until the play is over. Just amongst the cast and our stage manager and myself. It's really very exciting. In terms of watching the movie, some of them have seen the movie, and some of them said, I'm not going to watch the movie until after the play.
It's funny as you're describing it. I saw the movie, but one of the nice things, I guess, about getting older is that it used to be I never see a movie twice, or I'd see a movie once. And so I must, it came out in the 70s, the movie came out, or 80s? When did it come out?
Um, mm, yeah, I'm not sure of the date.
Well,
At
anyway,
least 80s or later.
what's incredible about it, so I saw it so many years ago, but don't ask me to describe it now. I can vaguely, as you're mentioning it, but
Yeah.
now I'll see a movie, Patricia, it changed. So it'd be, I'd never see a movie twice. Now I'll see it after 5 years. That's my criteria. I'll see it again and enjoy it again. So
Oh,
it's funny that how your memory it fades, I guess, after a period of time. So
Yeah,
that's interesting. Some cast won't see it until after some of the cast had never seen the movie.
correct,
Okay. And so
correct.
talk about what I think is kind of cool about what you're doing that makes it, I give Hendersonville a lot of credit, is the fact that this is called a reader's theater, I guess, but people have misconceptions, I think, about reader's theater, and talk
Yes.
about, for the benefit of folks, Patricia, who don't know what it is, what is a reader's theater?
Okay, so original Readers Theater used to be standing at a music
Right.
stand, remaining stationary, having your script there, and the play would be kind of read. But it's changed a lot. And now I was just discussing this with Janice today because she just did Wilma Dykeman. So it's more of a staged reading. So we have costumes, we have makeup, we have sound effects, we have lighting, we have a minimal set, and we have blocking. So the only difference is they're carrying or using their scripts. But so the philosophy, of course, behind the Readers Theater, at least at Hendersonville, is so that people can be exposed to some other works of theater that they might not normally program in their main stage through the calendar year, and audiences can be exposed to it, and as well, actors don't have to put in quite as much time as a fully staged full-length play.
But the reality, and based on what you told me, is that even though per se they haven't memorized it, they're pretty close to I mean, they really know the script. Just
Oh, yes.
talking to you a little bit about how long you've been in rehearsal for, and talk about that process.
Okay, we started in February and we rehearse 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday during the day, because at night there's another show in rehearsal. So we come in and Tuesday, Thursday around 10 and finish around 12. So they're putting in 2.5 hours, some about 5 hours a week, which is much, much less than coming in every night plus Saturdays to do a fully staged play.
Yet you're saying, and I'm certainly impressed that even though it's only 2 times a week, you're doing it for a long rehearsal. That's a long process. You've done it, for like 2 months. So
Yeah.
I would imagine that by that point in time, people are pretty familiar with the script.
Oh, very.
Yeah. So I won't put them on the spot or you on the spot, but some of them I guess have memorized it or close to memorized it because they've
Yes.
done it so often. And that I think, Patricia, to your credit, makes this version certainly different than other readers theaters I've seen. One, in terms of, like you said, it's really cool that you do the costumes. It's really cool, and the blocking, all that cool stuff, and that you've in rehearsal so long. That's a pretty long period of time to rehearse it. And
Yeah,
if you would then, so the cast, you have a cast you were telling me off the air of four, is that correct? Who is the
correct.
cast?
Okay, so Skylar Goff plays Father Flynn. Joan Richardson plays Sister Aloysius. Mary Weiss Gerber, had to get her last name correct. Mary Weiss Gerber plays Sister James. And Anna Alicia Carroll plays Mrs. Muller.
And just hearing the names, I know three of the four pretty well. And it's
Yeah,
pretty also impressive that most of them have done lots of acting in the area,
yes.
and to get Skylar in lead role is kind of cool that he's pretty well known and does a lot of acting. So what do you think is attraction then? Because I guess for them it's less of a commitment or it's not a long run, but to be able to do different works, I mean, you have quite a diverse cast there.
Yeah, the attraction is definitely the script. So when we hold at Hendersonville, the season auditions for the whole year are in November of the previous year. And people will notate on their audition form if they would like to try for Readers Theater. They just have in my case, they have to be free during the weekday. And these people definitely, and Skylar in particular, was really keen to do that role of Father Flynn. So,
Yeah, because Skylar, like I said, does a lot of acting in the area and very talented performer and
right.
does a lot of different stuff. So to get him is quite something, and that he's willing to do it. But isn't it interesting that more and more people I'm seeing too are interested in Reader's Theater? That
Yes.
it almost like Patricia, it's almost like to me like publishing, where Vanity Press, used to have like a terrible reputation. Nobody would ever want to do a Vanity Press publication. Same thing to
Hmm.
Reader's Theater. It used to be nobody would do it, but now it's really kind of cool. Almost all local theaters are doing, you know,
Yeah.
that as well. So you actually,
Yes.
though, I'm surprised that took place. So you actually had for this, the regular season auditions, they had to audition for this as well.
Oh, of course.
So did they have to indicate they were interested in this particular production?
Yes. Yes, they mark it on the form. That shows that they're interested in auditioning for.
And so how
And
many,
then
yeah, I'm
and
sorry.
then each show has a callback.
Wow. How many people did you have come out for this play?
Oh, total specifically for this play, I can't answer that. I can say at season auditions, there were at least 90 people for the whole season. And then for callbacks, I probably had, oh, that's been a while. It was way back in it was January 4th. Maybe 20, 22 to call back.
That must be one of the toughest jobs for you as a director, to have to go through the callbacks and to make decisions at that point in time, is it?
Is it, what
It
was the question?
one of the toughest jobs for you to have to do to choose out of 20 people which four are going
Oh,
to.
that I love casting.
Do you
And
really?
yeah, because yeah, I've done it for quite a long time for more than 100 shows. So yeah,
So,
I like it.
okay, well, that's I just give people credit though to narrow it down from 20 to four though. That's, quite something. But I guess the four you chose were the right four for this show.
Yes, they're great.
Who should see it? Who is this show directed at? Who should see it?
Oh, well, let's see. We're doing some work to make people understand that it's set in 1964, so that people have to go back historically into what was going on at the time. So that's the first thing, is knowing that it's not 2025, it's 1964. And secondly, there are some issues in there, as you know. There's some issues of race and issues of accusation of child abuse. So there's some sensitivities. So I would say it's probably directed more towards adults.
Okay, so age range, we say mature high school and above.
Yeah,
Yeah, as well.
yeah.
The so you're in rehearsal for that's a long period of time, like 2 months almost, right? Just about.
Yeah, but it's only, as I said, it's only 2 days a week. So the total number of rehearsals is 16 in total. And if you were staging a full length, you could get up to 14 over 3 weeks easily. So yeah, so it's much less.
Yeah, you say that, yet I'm kind of find that fascinating. I've never seen too many Reader's Theater productions have 14 rehearsals. It's just,
Oh,
a lot of times you were saying before that people just come in, and I used to hate it, just off a music stand and just read it. And
yeah,
you hear people read the script once or twice and they know it, or they do it, but
yeah.
it didn't feel very, very real.
Yeah, that's not how, when I did Doll's House at Hendersonville Theater, which was in 2023, we had 10 rehearsals for that.
Okay.
And we were at music stands, but they still knew the script very well. We did not do blocking. But it was suggested to me by Victoria when they staged Murder on the Orient Express that she said they were making entrances and exits. So I went to see that, and it's quite fun when you can. Sometimes you forget that they're using scripts. You
Well, that's what
just
it
do.
sounds like. Again, to have that many rehearsals is going to give that same feeling. For the benefit
Yeah.
of folks who don't know the term, when you mention blocking, what exactly is blocking?
Oh, blocking is out. We're moving around the stage. So we're making, in addition to entrances and exits, we're moving around using our set, which is our furniture, etc.
And actually, I was set is pretty cool. You know, the
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
you're saying it reminds me. I don't do a lot of acting intentionally, but I was in one time a musical. It was a fundraiser, and so we had to learn the music. And then the day before, we're giving choreography, and so everybody's bumping into everybody. You know, it wasn't enough time to learn how to move around on stage. But that unto itself is probably a challenge for the director to get people moving accordingly.
Yeah, these are all experienced actors, so they're very used to it. But you have to keep on rehearsing and make sure that we know who's moving where or when and things like that. Yes.
Now, have you ever directed a play or have happened that somebody gets sick, you know, and I wonder, is that, I'll put you on the spot, if you ever had to step in, I've seen some directors at the last minute, somebody gets sick and they have you ever had to do that?
Um, I have not, I don't think I have done that.
Okay.
I've filled in a lot for rehearsals.
But what's amazing to me, Patricia, is that as many plays go over as they do, you know, without being canceled, you know, in other words, when you would think about it, so many things could happen. And especially if you have a big cast, but in four, that amazingly, the show does tend to go on most of the time. I remember I was sad a couple months ago, Hendersonville had to cancel some plays, I guess, because of illness or something. They were one of the shows they did missed a couple productions.
Yeah, recently there was one.
Yeah, you know, which is, I said, you never hear that as well. The
Yeah.
play itself, so people come to it. How long is the play run?
It's not too long. The first section is 5 scenes, and then there's an intermission, and then there's 4 more scenes. So it's about, I'd say 90 minutes.
My kind of play. It's funny.
Yeah.
As I get older, I like shorter and earlier. You know, even the
Yes.
two productions you mentioned. So it's on a Friday night and Saturday afternoon, is or Friday afternoon?
No, they're both at 3 p.m. They're
Okay.
both on a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon.
Well, now you got me interested because yeah, I find I like that better. And I like
Yes.
the shorter and to get out early, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Um, for the benefit also of folks who don't know Hendersonville Theater, I'll describe it if you would, because it's a lovely little theater for people to visit if they've never been there. Describe what they'll see when they come to the theater.
Um, it's a great theater, and what's really nice when we do this format is there's no amplification and no microphones. So it's a very intimate setting, which makes it even more special, especially with the drama. Um, it's just wonderful that way. So yeah, I believe there's 117
Something like that.
seats,
Yeah.
something like that. Um, I believe in that theater, every seat is a good seat. You can see and hear. Um, and they do sell tickets ahead of time online. They tend to sell out a lot there because it's a smaller theater.
Well, also, and I like the matinee. You got me interested now. And for the benefit
Yeah,
of folks who want to get tickets online, do you have the address in front of you there?
I think I do. So it's, yes. Um, what I've got here is hendersonvilletheater.org as one long address.
And I'll put you on the spot. in terms of spelling theater, do you spell it the right way or the wrong way? Or how do you spell it?
The THEATRE.org. And then, of course, if you want to go straight to doubt, then it's /doubt. But if you get to the theater website, you can find all the shows there.
And the question, having the background in it, what's the correct way to spell theater?
Oh, I like RE because I lived in about 4 British settled countries. So I like British spellings.
It seems to have more and more go to it, or Hendersonville Theater is spelled the R-E too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so when it's funny, but yet your theater major still, it's ER, right? If you're a theater major.
I think so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't quite got that as well. So let me ask you this, Patricia. So two final questions here. So number one, after this run, I won't put you on the spot, but do you have some of the stuff you'll be doing in the future? You have some
yeah,
stuff.
I do. I have another project that will be coming up, but I can't talk about it yet. So, because it's not announced yet. So I have that. And then I'm also part of the Ovation Theater Collective. There are 3 of us directors in that group. And we're the ones that did Let Me Down Easy, which ended up having to be postponed. We did get it on stage in 2024. So I don't know yet what we have planned for the future.
And that, I remember that was kind of an interesting concept, and I remember we did a show on that as well. And talk about
Yeah.
what that concept is all about. So, you and who else is in that?
Janice Vertucci Schreiber
Right.
and Julie Wharton.
Okay. And so, what's the idea behind the 3 women involved in doing their own kind of thing?
Yeah, so they started that. I was still in Singapore. And then I moved to Asheville in 2020. So all 3 of us are former theater teachers, or in Julie's case, she's still teaching theater. But Julie and Janice started the group. Uh, they were doing classes, workshops, things like that. Then they ran into COVID. Then I came, and then we finally put a production up, with 3 of us. But within that, sometimes some other works are staged with just one of us directing.
Okay. And same thing too. Do you have anything that is on the books, or you can't announce it yet that you're working on?
Not at the moment, because actually each of the 3 of us, as I said, Janice is active at Weaverville, and she's also active at SART. Julie's active at her school, and then she has one coming down at Black Mountain. And then I'm active at Hendersonville.
Okay. And the last question I'll ask you, in terms of on your dream list, is there anything other than Doubt now? So Doubt's coming up. Do you have anything you'd like to direct, or you've always wanted to direct?
I would love to be involved with Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay, that's
Love that show.
back to the musical. Unfortunately, I think he missed out because a couple people have done it in the last couple of years locally. But
Yeah,
I'm trying to think where I saw it. I saw it at, I don't know if you got to see it at Flat Rock. They did a magnificent
I
production.
didn't.
It was really good. But yeah, that's quite a play. So you want to do that sometime. So we'll just have to
Yeah.
get Hendersonville in a couple of years to do it for you. So you can be musical. And
That's a big one.
so if you had now, let me ask you this: have you ever? So you've been a musical director and a non-music director. You mentioned your preference actually is to do straight directing of plays rather than being music director.
No, I love music directing, but I've directed so many musicals that I'm at the point in my life now where somebody else can take on that direction, and then I'll just do the music direction.
You're saying talking about big jobs. That's a big job because
Yep.
as much as is a job to direct 4 people endowed to direct a musical, even a small musical, there's so many other components to it that makes it
Yeah.
a bigger job. Anyway, Patricia, thank you for being my guest on this edition of the Blaze World webcast. I wish you a lot of luck with two productions of Doubt next weekend. Is that correct?
Yes,
If folks want to get tickets for it, best bet is to get them in advance. Again, the website, if you would, please,
is Hendersonville Theater, which is re.org.
and hopefully I'll see you either at production of Doubt or sometime in the near future. Trying to think we'll actually get to meet. We talked on air. I don't know if we ever met in person? Maybe somewhere.
Once or twice, I worked on Denton the Dragon.
Okay,
If you
that's
might have been then.
yeah, and that was a fun show too. That's how I think I met you the first time. I love that show.
Yes,
I didn't see it. He, to his credit, he put it on a second time. Were you involved in the first or second production?
first.
Okay, that's where I think that's how we met. And
Yes,
were you music director of that?
yes.
Okay, such a cute little play, and give a shout out. The playwright is name's
Jeff Hutchins.
okay, yeah, Jeff Hutchins. Such a cute little
Mm.
play. So wasn't that a lot of fun? Just loved it.
It was. It was really fun to do a fresh new script with the playwright right there.
And thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that's how we met the first time. It was just I had
Yeah.
such a good time with that play, and you wouldn't expect it. Or now you're getting me excited about Doubt. So if you're open to something a little bit different, I think people will enjoy seeing Doubt.
Oh, yeah. It's wonderful.
Okay, if you do say so yourself. Anyway, thanks
Yes.
for being my guest, and I hope to bump into you sometime down the road. Also, like to thank
Okay.
my producer, Cappy Tassetti, and speak to you. Thanks again.
Thank you.